Modern people are not trapped inside a room. They are trapped inside systems. Work, bills, and social standards they never chose. And the more they try to fit into those systems, the more they lose the feeling that they are real human beings. They no longer feel like real individuals. They feel like small units inside a machine much larger than themselves. When an individual realizes that he is only a tiny link in a giant machine, powerless to change it or even touch it, his nervous system begins to fall into a state of chronic exhaustion. The doomer state, skepticism, disillusionment, apathy, and withdrawal into isolation, is not simply a personal failure. It is a natural psychological reaction when the self is swallowed by mass society. A doomer is not just a person exhausted by society. A doomer is a person who has been separated from himself. He loses soul. There is a strange kind of tiredness in modern life. It is not the tiredness after running through a forest. It is a quiet tiredness, the kind that follows you even when you are sitting still. And then you open your phone. Someone is younger than you, richer than you, happier than you, more successful than you, and somehow already living the life you thought you were supposed to have. So you keep scrolling, not because it feels good, but because stopping feels even worse. This is where the doomer begins, not as a villain, not as a lazy person, not as someone who simply gave up. The doomer is a person who has looked at the modern world for too long and started to feel that nothing he does can touch it. He can work, he can reply, he can smile, he can function. But deep inside, he no longer feels like a person moving through life. He feels like a small unit inside a machine too large to understand. The real question is, what kind of society turns a human being into someone who feels this way? The modern system does not only demand your energy, it measures it. You are measured by productivity, by income, by followers, by how quickly you answer, by how well you keep up. At work, you become an employee ID. On social media, you become a profile. In a system, you become a statistic. To an algorithm, you become a pattern of behavior. Modern society does not always ask, "Who are you?" It asks, "What can you produce? How fast can you respond? How useful are you? How much attention can you generate?" And every time you reach one standard, another one appears. And slowly, a human being begins to shrink. Not physically, but inwardly. A person who once had a name, a face, a family, and a strange little soul begins to feel like one more data point inside a mass society. The doomer is the product of a society that measures people more than it understands them. And when a person realizes that the system is too large to fight, too complex to understand, and too cold to care, the nervous system begins to do something natural. It withdraws. It stops spending energy on hope. This is one reason the doomer often looks numb. He may not be empty. He may be overloaded. He may not be careless. He may be protecting himself from caring too much about a system that keeps making him feel defeated. The doomer is not only someone who has lost motivation, he is someone who has lost the feeling that his life belongs to him. Because from where he stands, daily life has started to feel like a joke. It gives you a million apps to save time, so you can use that time to work more. It sells you an organic salad for the price of your lunch break, then calls it healthy living. You are told you are completely free. Free to choose which cubicle to sit in. Free to choose which corporate logo to wear. Free to spend 40 years paying for a concrete box in the sky and call it The dream. The internet generation knows too much. To download a mindfulness app to cure the anxiety caused by the screen. It's a perfect loop. Because when the whole thing starts to feel like a circus, the only logical thing left to do is to laugh at the absurdity. So he becomes ironic. He laughs at his own exhaustion. But behind the joke, there is often a deeper wound. A person who no longer believes his actions matter will eventually stop acting like they do. And this is the first layer of the doomer. Everyone lives inside the modern machine. But the doomer is the one who feels the machine most clearly and feels himself becoming powerless inside it. But why does modern pressure create this feeling? Why does a person living in an advanced society begin to feel powerless, numb, and separated from himself? To understand that, we have to go backward, not into history books, but into the ancient brain. In the ancient world, danger had a body. If a caveman saw a wolf, he understood the signal immediately. The wolf had fur, it had teeth, it had weight, it had a distance. It was either close or far, alone or in a pack, coming toward him or moving away. The danger was terrifying, but it was readable. The ancient brain knew what to do. Run, fight, climb, call the tribe. And when the wolf disappeared, the body could slowly come down. The threat had an ending. This is what the nervous system was designed to handle. An environment where danger had shape, number, distance, and conclusion. The modern environment breaks all four. The wolf no longer has fur. It is a KPI, an email, a deadline, a performance review, a bank notification, a message left unanswered, a number on a screen, a future you cannot control. And unlike the ancient wolf, this new wolf does not leave. It follows you home. It waits inside your phone. It appears before sleep. It returns in the morning. It multiplies every time the screen refreshes. The ancient brain can survive a wolf in the forest, but it was never designed to live with a wolf that has no body, no distance, and no ending. That is why modern stress feels so strange. The brain cannot find the moment when the threat is over. And the pressure does not even need to shout. It only has to whisper inside your head. Stay positive. Keep grinding. Be successful early. Be interesting online. Be financially secure. Be calm. Be grateful. And if you cannot be all of these things at once, modern life quietly suggests that you are falling behind. So you keep running, not through a forest, but through expectations, through deadlines, through rent, through comparison, through the silent fear that if he stops, he will disappear. This is the evolutionary mismatch. Modern work asks your body to sit still for 8 hours, while a mind processes abstract signals from everywhere at once. And yes, you can still run after work. You can still go to the gym. But that is the strange part. Movement has become something you do to compensate for a day your body was never built to endure. This alone does not create a doomer, but it creates the ground beneath him. A body that wants action is forced into stillness, and day after day, the person begins to feel trapped inside a life his body never agreed to live. The doomer is, in many ways, the shadow of modern success culture. So the doomer is not created by hardship alone. Hardship has always existed. After enough abstract pressure, enough invisible systems, enough goals that keep moving away, the brain slowly learns one message. Nothing I do really matters here. And once a person begins to see reality this way, everything outside him no longer feels merely difficult. It feels closed. It feels rigged. It feels too large to touch. But the feelings that are not allowed to speak do not disappear. Anger goes underground. Shame goes underground. Envy goes underground. Loneliness goes underground. The desire to be seen, loved, and understood goes underground. And when those feelings stay buried for too long, they return as numbness, as sarcasm, as bitterness, as emotional paralysis. The doomer does not only look at a broken reality, he looks through a wounded part of himself, the part that has been rejected, humiliated, and left alone. This does not mean he is wrong. The economy can be cruel. The system can be unfair. The algorithm can be manipulative. Modern loneliness can be real. But pain rarely stays in one place. Over time, it becomes a lens. And through that lens, everything outside him begins to look closed and impossible to reach. He may say, "Why even try?" Because modern life does not always attack you with visible danger. It attacks you through bills, deadlines, algorithms, expectations, and a future that never feels secure. There is no animal in front of you, but your nervous system still feels hunted. That is the wolf without fur. And its deepest danger is not only that it chases you, it slowly teaches you to stop running, to stop trying, to stop believing that your movement can change anything. A doomer is usually too intelligent to be healed by slogans. He can smell cheap hope from far away. So the answer has to be smaller and more honest. A real answer cannot begin with fake optimism. It cannot say, "Just be positive." That is not enough. Life is still difficult. A modern person is trying to hold the pressure of an entire planet inside one body. No wonder the body begins to collapse. So the first step is not to repair everything outside you. It is to make life small enough to touch again. Start with the room, not as a metaphor, as a real place. Look at the desk, pick up the cup, open the window, fold the shirt, wash one plate, step outside, walk around the block. These actions can sound too small, but they do something deeper. They give the ancient brain evidence. The ancient brain does not understand abstract promises. It does not believe a 5-year plan. It does not calm down because you tell it everything will be fine. It believes what the hands can touch. The nervous system does not only need movement, it needs evidence that movement matters. A doomer may still go to work. He may still answer emails. He may still complete tasks. But many of those actions do not feel like his. They belong to the system. They disappear into reports, inboxes, numbers, and expectations. What he needs is not just another task. He needs one small action that belongs to him. Not because it fixes his life, but because it gives the nervous system one forgotten signal. I can still cause something to change. This is the loop the modern system takes away from him, because it is the beginning of returning to yourself. One honest conversation, one walk without headphones, one meal eaten without scrolling, one night with a phone stays outside the bed. This is not about becoming a naive optimist. The goal is to see the darkness clearly and still build one small fire inside it. Because a person who can build one small fire is not fully defeated. The doomer does not need to lie to himself. He does not need to pretend life is fair. He needs to remember that he is more than his despair. But beneath all of that, there is still a deeper self, a self that wants warmth. He is not empty. He has simply been pulled apart by too many invisible wolves. Maybe it begins here, one deliberate action that belongs to you. So let me ask you one question. If life outside this room still feels too large to fix, what is one thing your hands can still touch, change, or begin today? Tell me in the comments.